episode number 234 with Carlos Welch.
I got X-ray specs for eyes, I can see right through you.
Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton.
This is Carlos Welch.
How the hell are you, Carlos?
Never better. Never better.
Good. I feel like we need our like an acronym for you every time you come on the show. I came up with one. It's short and sweet. It's WITWICWRN.
That's short and sweet.
Yeah. Where in the world is Carlos Welch right now?
Okay. It's sweet, but it's not that short. But yeah, that's a good one. I am currently in the San Diego area.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So basically, when I was actually here up until around February, I think.
Okay.
And then when the pandemic hit, I did some research, and one of the two big takeaways I found was stay the hell out of highly populated areas. And so I left San Diego and went to Bullhead City, and I was there for a couple of months. But my ex lives in San Diego, and so I was here with her, and then she had to have spinal surgery.
Oh.
And so I had to come back and help her out with that. So that's why I'm back in the area.
Oh, okay. You guys must get along pretty well. If
Much better than when we were together.
Is this an ex from when you were in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's a better relationship than I have with my exes. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she hasn't tried to kill me yet, but maybe that's coming down the road.
Right on. Cool. Well, how's everything else going for you? What are you doing down in San Diego? Are you going to the live rooms? I imagine not, right?
No. I wouldn't be doing that if there wasn't a pandemic. But with the pandemic, there's no way in the hell I would be caught dead. Maybe I would be caught dead. I decide to play live poker. I've just been, doing what I was doing in Bullhead City, just, staying in for the majority of the time and, masking up whenever I went out and just playing a lot of poker and teaching a lot of poker.
Okay.
Or coaching, I should say.
Cool. Good for you. What, mostly Bovada?
Yes. You know what? See, I was actually thinking about this right before we came on. So everybody knows for the most part that Bovada is like my site of choice. And I was doing really well on it at the beginning of the year. January, February were great. And then in March, it's like the bottom fell out. I lost my ass in March. And I didn't realize this was happening until it was too late. But that's right around the time when the pandemic started to shut down live poker.
Okay.
So all the live guys started to trickle in online, and the field sizes started to get bigger, slowly under my nose. And I didn't realize it until I was down $7K for the month.
Wow.
And once I realized what was happening, like tournaments on Bovada that used to get 300 runners, we're getting 1,000 runners. And the ones that were getting 1,000 were getting 3,000. So I'm thinking I don't like big fields because with big fields come big variance. So in April, I decided to play tournaments with higher buy-ins and lower guarantees to kind of keep the field size down.
Yeah.
And what I found is there were not many tournaments like that on Bovada for the buy-in level I was playing, like 109s and up.
Yeah.
So I had to drop down in stakes for two reasons. Primarily for to get the smaller field sizes, but a nice a nice addition was everything was kind of like chaotic at the time and uncertainty.
Yeah.
So I didn't know when I was going to be able to go back to work. In fact, I was supposed to go back to work, in March, and I had to cancel my trip because of the pandemic, because the schools closed. For those that don't know, I'm a substitute teacher. And so I had to be more careful with my role, because at the time I was thinking like, man, I may not, if I bust my role, I may not get a chance to work again until August.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, this is a good time to just drop down in stakes, because I don't really need the money.
Yeah.
So I started playing like 30s and 50s and 20s. It would be like a $30 buy-in, 3K guarantee, which would normally get 100 runners, was getting around 300 runners, which is basically my wheelhouse, around 300 runners or less. And so that's what I did throughout April, and my results started to come back. But because the volume was so low, because there were not a lot of tournaments like that, I actually experimented with other sites, and I started to play on Bet Online. Have you ever played there?
Bet Online. No, I don't. I think I played Bet US Poker. It was great because it was a sports betting site, and they also had poker. So the software was horrendous, but so was the player pool.
Right. See, I love that combination. It's such a
Right?
good combination.
It is. You have to put up with a lot of crap, but when you're by far the best player at the table, it more than makes up for it.
Yeah, Bet Online is the same way. The only difference is I actually really like that software.
Okay.
It's got a lot of the things that I missed about PokerStars. Like you can set the bet the buttons. You can set to like a certain percentage of the pot you want to bet. Like just auto set
Oh,
the button.
okay.
That was pretty cool. And then also you could make deals at the final table.
Oh,
But it also had its downsides, as they all do. It was hard to get you could get the HUD to work there, but it was like, it didn't work great. So that was a little bit of a problem. And then also you could only cash out, I think, up to 3K a week or something in that ballpark. But when I started playing there, I was thinking that was probably going to not be an issue for me. But I did pretty well that first month, and I did run into it wasn't a problem. I couldn't cash out as much as I wanted, but I just did it over 2 weeks, and that was not a problem.
okay. Well, that's a first world problem there.
Yeah. Great problem to have during the pandemic. But the field sizes were small, and there were small field sizes at the buy-in level I wanted, 109s and 215s, and there was a lot of volume during the week, so that worked out really well for me. They don't have a lot of volume on Sunday, which is weird for an online site, but that was the one thing that one of the things I didn't like about the schedule. So I did that throughout May and did really well, and then did a little bit in June and didn't do so well. But June was around the time I moved to San Diego to help her out.
Yeah.
And by this time, the field sizes on Bovada had gone back to normal. So I started back playing on Bovada more, and that's where I've been ever since, and everything has been going well there also.
Nice. I found the same thing with Poker Bros when the when the pandemic hit. Mikey and I got into like a little private room, but pretty quickly it branched out into joining other unions, and now we have field sizes of thousands of people, for a $30 or $40 tournament, which is great if you can bank a final table. But other than that, you're kind of bleeding money,
Yeah.
And so luckily some other sit and go things opened up where they have like 30 or 40 man max. And that's perfect, because you can fire, at least the last time I was playing, you can play a $30 one, a $20 one and I think a $10 one every 2 hours. So that fills 3 tables and usually you get something out of one of those and then rinse and repeat. They just got those every 2 hours.
Yeah, that reminds me of pre-Black Friday Poker Stars with the
Right.
45 mans, because I got started with 9 mans.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked my way up to 18s and 27s and 45s. Then 180s, and 180s were the ones that made me feel like this is basically a tournament. So when that gave me the confidence to try tournaments for the first time, and I haven't looked back since.
Nice. Yeah, it's really cool being able to just grind out a little a little nut playing a game. I still can't get over that like, I get paid to play a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love
It's
it.
amazing, man.
I love it. Good for you. Good for you. So you're staying at her place, I guess? You're not in the
Yeah.
Nookmobile?
No, I'm staying at her place.
No. Cool. Good deal. I think I may be going out to Parker again here today. If the weather clears up here in Santa Paula, then I'll be able to get out. Yeah, I've been going out there and hanging out. It's kind of nice. There's no cell phone reception, so you just get kind of get to unplug. There's not too many people out there, right on the river.
I was pretty jealous hearing you talk about it on the podcast and in our private groups, because that's where I was. Not too far from there is Bullhead City in Laughlin, which I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said. It's almost like coronavirus does not exist in that place.
Yeah. Everyone's super cool. We've got my buddy, his uncle has a boat out there, so we've got access to a boat, and yeah, it's fun. You can just swim in the river. It's probably only moving 2 miles an hour or something, so you can just go for a leisurely swim right in front of your campsite and never move, because the current's keeping you in that spot. And, yeah, very relaxing, kind of like a quick little getaway vacation.
Yeah, swimming will probably be mandatory if you go back around this time of year, late July, early August. I'm sure the average temperature is like 115.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I checked the temperature today. It's 115. It will be at noon.
Yeah, that's the one downside. When Alex and I lived in Bullhead City, like it was so funny seeing his face whenever he stepped outside the door, because I want to say he's originally from Alaska. So to go from Alaska to Arizona in the summer has to be a major culture shock.
Two polar opposites.
Yeah. But I love the area, man, because I'm from a small town in Georgia, and Bullhead City kind of gives me a small town feel. That's the one thing I miss about being on the West Coast. I love the weather here, but I hate the traffic.
Yeah.
I hate like interstates.
Yeah.
I hate having to go, like if you want to go to Walmart, you got to take like 4 exits. Yeah. So that's the part I hate about city life, and you don't get that too much in places like Bullhead and Parker.
No. I was doing some fishing out there too. I probably spent a total of 2.5 or 3 weeks out there over the last couple of months. And man, the fishing, okay, they got carp, they got striper bass, catfish, and then a bunch of trout. And man, I've been doing my damnedest to catch these fish, and I cannot, I had to get another fishing license because now I'm on the Arizona side. I could see California, but I'm on the Arizona side, so I got to get an Arizona license. And then when I go snorkeling out there, I can see all the fish. I mean, they're just everywhere. But the damn things aren't biting what I'm giving them. And the last time I was out there a week or two ago, I thought, you know what? I'm going to create like a little fish haven right here, right? There's a bunch of cinder blocks that are out in the water. And I noticed that the fish kind of like to get behind a rock or some type of obstacle because they don't have to swim as hard, and they can basically just kind of chill there. And when some food floats by, they jump out and grab it, then they go back behind the rock. So I got a bunch of these cinder blocks, and I arranged them in the water to create kind of like a little dam underwater for the fish. And as I was building this thing, there was literally a group of fish watching me do it and sitting behind the blocks. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. It's working, you know? So I swam back to shore, start throwing my lure out where I know the fish are. And I never even got so much as a bite. And I got to thinking, I'm like, how the hell am I going to get these fish? I've been unsuccessfully trying to catch them for 3 weeks. I've only ever gotten one, and I couldn't even get it onto shore. It was too big. It broke the line, which is a good problem, I guess. But I got to thinking, I'm like, you know what? I bet spearfishing would work, because these things are obviously not afraid of me. I mean, I can get 3 feet from them. They're just not biting anything I'm putting on the hook. So I ordered a $33 Hawaiian sling fishing spear on Amazon, and I'm going to take it out this time, and I'll be damned if I'm not going to get one of them this time.
This is so hilarious to me, because I can tell you what I'm picturing in my head. It's like, I don't know if fish make sound. Do fish make sound? I don't think they do.
No, not really.
But if they made sound, and if you had like Google Translate for like fish language, they're probably watching you set up this dam, and you're thinking it's going to work because they're just sitting there watching you. They're probably thinking to themselves, talking amongst themselves, look at this idiot. He thinks this is going to work. And they probably just had a great time laughing at you, not knowing that you're going to show up a month later with a fucking spear. And they're going to be looking at you thinking like, what is this idiot got this time? And then it's going to, like, just that last second before the thing penetrates their skull, they're going to be like, oh, shit.
He finally got us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if when I show up with the spear, if they're going to figure it out after I get one of them, you know what I mean, and not swim close after that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think when the guy next to you has a rod through his skull, I think you figure out that this is not the place you want to be standing pretty quickly.
We'll see. There's some big bass in there. I looked up the regulations, and you can spearfish carp and these striper bass, which the ones I want are the bass. They taste the best. But man, they're pretty big. I mean, they're the size of like, bigger than an American football, maybe like 1.5 American footballs. So it's, you get one fish, it'll feed everyone that night.
Right.
We'll see. I'm excited. I'm excited. I saw one of your tweets. Are you your Bitcoin tweet? Did you score a little bit on some Bitcoin?
Well, I've been all in on Bitcoin since I realized what it was. I got into it not super early, like, the very beginnings. I want to say the price was around 600 when I first got into it.
Okay.
But I didn't really understand the potential of it at the time. I just used it as something to like fund my poker account a lot easier. So I would buy and sell to move money back and forth online, but I never held any. Okay. And then maybe like a year or two later, I realized that this is a good thing to hold. So I've been pretty much keeping my poker roll in Bitcoin ever since then. So yeah, I've been riding the wave for like, shit, I don't even know how long it's been. Like 5 years now? Okay. Maybe more. I can't even remember. But yeah, I've definitely been all in on Bitcoin. So, we just recently had a bump, and it was great because I got destroyed online that day, and I made back everything and more through Bitcoin. So can't complain.
Nice. Do you have any Ethereum or Litecoin or Bitcoin Cash? Just Bitcoin?
Yes, I got a little bit of Litecoin and a little bit of Ethereum on the recommendations from you and Mike back in the day. And I haven't really paid attention to those because the amount is so small that I basically bought those in case, because there was this debate at one time about one of these coins will hit 100K at one point. Could be Bitcoin, could be Litecoin, could be something. And so I figured, let me get like half of one of them just in case that's the one that hits 100K.
Yeah.
But, if it goes up to like, 300 or whatever from 30, that's not going to make me much money. I don't have a ton in it. Like I'm 99% invested in Bitcoin when it comes to my crypto investments.
Okay. I just got out of Bitcoin recently, although I kept my Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash because I'm in the hole for those. I bought those at the wrong time, but I more than made up with it with Bitcoin. So I've got I did the math. I don't remember where the paper is, but I think I've got like 1,500 invested in between those coins, but they're only worth about 400 right now. So it's
yeah. I forgot about Bitcoin Cash. I got a little bit of that too, but it's such an afterthought at this point that I don't even know where it is. I gotta, because it's not. I don't have it on. I don't think it's one of the options. Well, let me look. What's the thing called?
You got it on Coinbase?
I think I have it on Coinbase.
Okay.
It's either Coinbase or blockchain.
Okay.
Let's see. But yeah, I'm right. At least at the time when I set up my Blockfolio, Bitcoin Cash wasn't one of the options. That's where I kind of keep track of how much I have of everything. But because that one wasn't an option, it's not on my list, so I stopped keeping track of it. So, I mean, I could be a millionaire and not even know it. So, but I should check my Bitcoin Cash balances. But if you're down, I'm probably not a millionaire.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, but I got that on blockchain, and everything else I have on Coinbase.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. And now that seeing that it bumped up, because I pulled out at like 9,500 and now it's up to almost 11K. I'm like, ugh. I had half a Bitcoin that I cashed out, so that would have been an extra $700 or something.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, but you started at 1,400, is that right?
No, I started
remember correctly.
450, I think, is what I bought
Okay.
one at. And then it very quickly went down to 250 for about 2 years, and then shot up to 18,000 or something ridiculous. So that was pretty cool. But no amazing foresight on my part, just blind ass luck, I believe.
So are you basically over it, or are you basically selling since the market is doing pretty good right now and planning to get back in if it goes down?
Man, I looking at the graph, it went down to like 3,800 fairly recently within the last 4 or 6 months or something.
Right.
If it got back down to that, it would be tough for me not to throw a couple K at it.
Yeah. That's my problem. Like every time it gets low, I don't have excess cash sitting around because all my money is in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But I wish I had a pile of cash somewhere where when it got low, I can throw more into Bitcoin. But I already got so much in Bitcoin that I can never take advantage when the blue light special happens.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. Gambling's fun. Gambling is fun.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about Mikey. Yeah, I thought he might come in and join us, but he seems like he's maybe a little down in the dumps or something.
Yeah, listening to the last couple of episodes, I know things have been rough with the pandemic closing down oceans, and he's venturing out in all these other
Home games.
Let's call them alt poker.
Alt poker.
Like altcoin, these alt poker venues. So yeah, I can see why that would be a little tough.
Yeah. The poor guy. He's just so, he doesn't have a role. I feel like he needs to just cut his expenses and then he wouldn't have to play so damn much.
Yeah, that was the thing that was really scary for me when I was listening to one episode when he mentioned having like a 20K month, and then he was like, I need 3 of those a year. And I'm thinking like, geez, you need 20K months a year? Yeah, I'm sorry, 3 20K months a year. Yeah, but he knows that, like, I know I've had a lot of conversations with him about, cutting the expenses, and he probably won't do it until he's forced to. And that's just going to be a much harder landing than if you do it incrementally on purpose.
Yeah.
So eventually that's going to happen. I heard him say he was looking at, jobs. But yeah, I've always told him, man, like, you got to get on. I can't remember, one of the two he had an issue with, either Ignition or Bovada.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was Ignition that kind of like screwed him. So I told him, like, okay, we'll play on Bovada. Like, that site is like literally free money.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't have a big role. You don't really need, like, the role that you need for playing like 50s and 109s on Ignition, on Bovada, is going to be way lower than what you need to play these massive cash games he's been playing.
Yeah. I feel like if you were to put my mind or your mind in Mike's in Mike's situation, we would instantly get rid of the car and then buy one for like $2,000 with 150,000 miles on it. That's probably going to last another 5 years. You know what I mean? We would do that.
Yeah.
We'd move into a smaller place. Just little stuff. I remember being at the store with him once, and I think we bought a 12-pack of beer because we're gonna go meet up with the TPE guys, and he rang it up, and the lady said, "Oh, do you have a card to enter to get the $2.50 off or whatever?" And then I interrupted him. "Oh, I got one. Let me punch in the number." And he's all, "No, it's okay." And he just, if he would have waited another 4 seconds for me to type in the number, he would have saved $2.50, but he didn't wait. You know what I mean? I'm like, does that make any sense?
No, in fact, I got to do this right now, just for my own like sanity. 4 seconds. There's 15 of those in a minute, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. So he literally passed up on a $2,200 win rate. $2,250.
That's pretty good.
$2,250 hourly to like stand still for 4 seconds. Yeah. That's how I think about things. It's like, I think about that when it comes to like laddering in tournaments, where it's like, you got aces, obviously you're going to get it in. You're already in the money, but you're on a small pay jump, and the pay jump may only be for like $1, depending on what just for the sake of discussion. Let's say the pay jump's $1, and a lot of people will say, it's only $1, who cares? But if you can wait, 1 second to like let somebody else bust before you, that's $60 an hour. I'm sorry, actually it's $3,600 an hour if it's literally just 1 second. So yeah, I think about things that way. And like when you say if we could like basically put our financial minds in his body, is like we tried that and we made a movie out of it. So I can remember being on the pier with you, telling him all this stuff that he probably already knows, but Mike and frugality is kind of like, you know, me and exercise and healthy eating. It's like I know what to do, but am I gonna do it consistently? Probably not. Probably not. One day I'll be forced to. For me, it'll probably be a heart attack. And, you know, for Mike financially, it's gonna be like, you know, a pandemic.
Mhm.
So yeah, one way or another, we'll eventually learn.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I hope the guy's doing all right. Well, probably sitting at a home game right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. Do you have any hands? I've got a couple. If
Yeah, I got one. Actually,
okay,
I got two, but we'll start with this one. I was actually looking. This is a link that I have. Actually, let me just present it to you because it has results, and I rather. Okay, so we are in a tournament, nine-handed, and it folds around to us in the cutoff with 30 bigs.
okay,
We have King 10 offsuit with the King of Spades, 10 of Hearts.
okay.
Okay.
Nine-handed cutoff.
Um,
What are the
we
stacks
have
behind you?
we have the button covered, and both blinds have us covered.
Okay,
Button has like 15.
15 bigs, and the blinds have 30 plus.
Yeah, 40. Actually, 50 plus, 50 each.
Okay, 50. All right. So if we make it like three big blinds and the button shoves, um, not ideal. Would you call that off if you make it like three bigs or 3.5 and then the button shoves?
If I went 3.5, that would be 28. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mention the blinds? The blinds are um 400, 800. I guess that doesn't matter because we're just doing this in the blind.
Yeah.
So 3.5, and the guy shows 15. I have to put in 11.5 to call. It would be fairly close. I would probably find a fold just because the people I play against aren't that aggressive.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have a stronger range than normal. But yeah, I would probably find a fold, but it does become a much tougher decision when the price is getting that good.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing like King Queen there, I think is a call.
Yeah, yeah.
King Jack is damn close. I think King 10's probably a fold because he's doing that so often with an ace. You know, I mean, I think it's kind of rare that you're going to find that he's got like Jack 10 or Queen Jack or something there.
Almost never in the games I play.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you'll be up against a pair. Um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'd probably make it 3.5. And then like we said, if the button shoves, then let it go.
Okay. So I decided to raise here, obviously. I went for the min raise. That's pretty much my standard.
Okay.
And the small blind calls, button folds, small blind calls, and surprisingly, the big blind folds as well.
Okay.
So heads up with the small blind. There's like 6 bigs in the middle.
Okay.
And the flop is King of Hearts, 9 of Hearts, Deuce of Clubs.
Deuce of clubs. Okay. Actions on the small blind.
He checks.
Okay. And hero. Into 6 bigs. I don't know, make it 2.5 to 3.5, something like that.
Yep, that's what I did. I actually went a little less than that. I just went like 2,
Okay.
but in the ballpark. And we get a call.
Okay. We got
And
10 bigs in the middle.
yes, and the turn is the Jack of Hearts, and he checks to us again.
All right. So we got King 10 with the 10 of hearts, King of hearts, 9 of hearts, 2 of clubs, and the turn is the Jack of hearts. I guess we got a gutter ball. We've got a backdoor heart draw that's not that great. We got the ace of hearts and the queen of hearts that would beat us. Top pair. I'd probably squeak out another little value bet here. It would suck to get raised, but I think we're going to get called here. What the hell is he calling with on the flop? Would a 9 call a small bet? It might.
I'm sorry. I should have mentioned this earlier. This is Bovada.
Okay. Yeah, they'd probably call that. All right.
Yeah.
The 10 bigs, just try to squeak a little bit. He checks to you on the turn.
Yes.
3 to 4 big blinds, something like that.
I decided to go 8 bigs.
Oh, okay. What's your reasoning behind this?
So, because I think that the majority of his hands here are like combo type hands. So, like for example, if we're trying to get called by 9, a lot of times there's going to be like 10-9
Yeah.
or like queen 9. So there's a gut shot with it. Obviously, that doesn't mean the guy should call a bet this big. But then again, this is Bovada.
Yeah.
So I think when guys call on the flop with a wide range, which they will, versus that small bet I made, and then they improve on the turn, it's hard for them to fold on the turn. It's like if you call with a pair and now your pair picked up a gut shot with it, it's going to be hard to let that go. Same thing. The alternative is also true. If you call with a gut shot and then you hit a pair. So, for example, Queen Jack, something like that.
Yeah.
That's a hand that I think will pay off a big bet on the turn. Queen Jack, Jack 10, 9, 10, it's in there, but that's not primarily what I'm targeting. I'm primarily targeting the Jacks. And because this is Bovada, the guy could have some worse kings even. As far as the suited ones, like, I could definitely see King 8 suited, King 7 suited being in there. And then also, if he has any hand that contains the ace of hearts, he's never folding it. Yeah. Ace 9 with the ace of hearts, ace jack with the ace of hearts, which is a hand they won't 3-bet, which is why I don't do the big raise size here, because they just flat with ace jack instead of 3-betting it. Ace deuce with the ace of hearts. So, yeah, ace of hearts and a jack that has some other gut shot or something to go with it. Those are my primary targets. And I think those will call a big bet. Oh, and also weaker kings.
I like that logic. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Does he cost?
We bet big, and he does call.
Okay.
And
So
the
26 big blinds in the middle.
Yep.
Okay.
And then on the river, we get the 7 of spades, and he checks to us.
How much we got left in our stack now?
We have 20 bigs left, roughly.
20 bigs, and there's 26 in the middle. Okay, is he calling everything with a jack? Trying to think if he has the range that we're hoping he does, like a jack 10, a queen jack, a weaker king, ace 9. Is he going to call everything? He's got us covered.
True.
I'm debating between thin value here or just trying to get everything. Damn. I'm thinking like 10 big blinds to leave us 10 in our stack. I mean, if we bet 10 and he shoves, I don't think we can ever fold. Or can we?
If we bet 10 and he shoves,
Yeah.
that would be freaking disgusting.
Yeah.
I probably would. It's one of these folds that if I'm not playing my A game, it's like I call here knowing I'm beat.
Yeah.
But when I am playing my A game, I am able to fold even after putting in such a large percentage of my stack. When there's literally no hand the guy would shove that I beat. So that's a mental game question for me. It depends on how the rest of the session has been going, if I'm able to make that fold or not.
I think when we bet 10 bigs here into 26 and he shoves, leaving, we have 10 left in our stack. I'm having a hard time putting together a hand that that we beat there when that scenario happens.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to call a shove with a 9 here? I think that might be kind of optimistic. He may call with a jack. A weaker king is probably calling.
That's about it in my mind. The only thing I think is going to call is a weaker king, and even then, it's gonna kind of have a hard time, given that we seem really serious about this pot, and so much got there.
Yeah.
Multiple straight draws, the flush draw, and when bad players aren't good at hand reading, they just auto put you on ace king.
Yeah.
And so even that hasn't beat. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be kind of hard to get called on a shove here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably just do 8 to 10 big blinds, something like that. Just try to squeak out some value from a jack, or I don't know if a 9 would call that. Maybe
also,
I mean, he's 3-betting queens, and I'm sure.
Yeah, the 3-bet ranges here are generally like probably jacks plus ace king, and if they're feeling frisky, they'll throw ace queen in there and maybe tens. But beyond that, they're just calling.
Okay.
Keep in mind that we bet so big on his turn that once he calls it, he probably still has a decent number of hands in his range that has us beat. Like, for example, if he's sitting there with like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of hearts or something, he's probably a little bit worried when we bet big on that turn. So he still has some flushes in his range, not to mention all the 2 pairs.
Yeah. What are you thinking here? A check back?
That's what I did. Yeah, I can see merit for a small bet, but I think it has to be like really small. Like maybe, I mean, yeah, something like that. And here's my rationale behind it. I think I got the majority of the value I was going to get on the turn. Because remember, my primary value targets on the turn were jacks that had a draw with them. And those draws bricked. So now that hand is going from a pair and a draw to just second pair on the scariest board of all time. So I don't know if we even get a jack to call, much less a 9. So I think if we bet here, our primary target will be the weaker kings. And there's some, but not many. In fact, one of them that was in there would have been like king 7 of spades, which I actually just got there. So I think if we're getting value from a weaker king here, it's going to be like exactly king 8 of diamonds or clubs. Question is, if he plays king 6, I don't know, maybe. But there's only like, in my mind, 2 or 3 combos that we can get value from here. And there's infinite combos that have us beat still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just decided to check back here, but I can see throwing out, three bigs, three, four bigs, and like, hoping for the best. But the other thing is I'm comfortable if I lose this hand, I'm comfortable playing this 20 big blind stack. Like I still got a lot of options from this stack size.
Yeah.
Whereas if we bet big here, like even 5 or 6 and get called and lose, that almost puts me in push fold mode where I got a little bit more flexibility with 20 than I would have with like 15 and 14. So yeah, that's another reason I checked here.
Okay.
So I check, and villain has King Jack of clubs.
Ooh. Damn.
So
yeah, that's the whole way.
Had us the whole way. Yeah. But those are the type of hands that I would be worried about value betting into on the river, because that hand makes perfect sense. Obviously, he's not folding the flop. Obviously, he's not folding or raising the turn.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's going to check to us on the river.
Check call the river. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Well, you probably saved an extra 8 to 10 big blinds than I would have.
We probably came out about the same, because I don't think you would have bet as big on the flop on the turn as I did.
True.
Yeah.
Huh. Right on. Nice.
All right. Thank you. You got one?
I do. This one is kind of interesting. Okay, let's see. This is a cash game. Where, let's see. There we go. I had to take a screenshot of this on the Poker Bros app, so I'm looking it up on my iPad right now. Okay. So
I was going to ask you. You already answered this, but I was going to ask before you did. Was this a masked or no masked cash game? That determines. That's going to influence my ranges going forward, whether my opponent is smart enough to wear a mask or not.
Oh, that's great. Let's see. We are in the small blind so we post a 50-cent small blind, and then the big blind is $1. Our stack, and one thing I've been doing, I got this from Alex Fitzgerald's program, is when I get into these cash games, I'll usually be at 2 to 3 tables, and I just buy in for 50 big blinds, and then I follow his strategy that his buddy wrote on a napkin to play these games until I double or triple up, and then I start playing 100 or 200 big blind stack. But for this one, I basically just buy in for 50 bigs and try to get it all in before the flop. Is my basic strategy, and it has been working for months. I keep thinking that people are going to start folding today, but they don't. So until that happens, I'm just going to keep doing what's working.
Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Yes. Okay, so we're in the small blind. We've got king, and the action. Let's see. It goes around. We got 3 folds. One guy who also has 50 big blinds. He calls $1. He's in the hijack. Let's see. Rampage folds, Mike folds, button folds, and then we're in the small blind with kings.
Okay.
What's your sizing here?
Tell me again, were there 1 limpers or 2?
Let's see. 1 limper.
Okay.
1 limper.
And we're out of position.
He's a recreational player.
I'm going to make this $5.
Okay. All right. I go 6. And my reasoning just for big sizing is because they just want to see a flop and they always call. And we'll be out of position. But anyhow, I make it 6. And then the hijack calls, what would that be? Yeah, he calls the 6. So we go to a flop, and the flop is, we've got the king of clubs, king of hearts, and the flop is king of diamonds, jack of diamonds, 3 of clubs. So we've got him killed here.
Yep.
What's your sizing on this one?
Was it 13 in the middle or 12 and a half?
Let's see. I've got 25. How does that make sense? Oh, the main. I'm sorry. The main right now is $14.80. So that's what everyone put in a 10-cent ante. So that's what we should do.
Gotcha. Oh, cash games with antes.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it is.
I don't think I've never played that before. That sounds pretty cool.
It is. You can, people aren't defending their blinds quite as well. They defend them quite a bit, but they defend them with trash, So there's an extra 90 cents in there in a $51 game that, it's like a whole nother big blind.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a spot where normally this is a recreational player, so I'm not going to be worried about balance. But if I were, I would 100% check this hand because it's a great slow playing hand. But because I'm not worried about balance here, I think if this guy has a king or a jack or a straight draw or a flush draw, he's never going anywhere. So I'm bombing this. I'm probably betting like $12 or $13.
I like that because there's so many hands right here. So keep in mind from the villain's perspective, he's in the hijack, recreational player. He limped and then he called. So Queen 10, Queen Jack, King Queen. All diamonds. They're all there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
tons of jacks too. And they don't call he may get away from a jack later, but he's not gonna get away from it now. So I might as well get max value from that jack while I can before the board runs out scary for it. This guy has like jack 10 of hearts. I think he's calling 12 or $13 here.
I think so too. I think, like you said, he's never folding. He's going to call $5 and he's going to call 13. You might as well get max value. Yeah, I like that. Okay, well, I made it $5.50. I'm not probably why I'm talking about this hand.
Yeah.
But, I make it $5.50. He quickly calls. So the pot now is $25.80. And we each have about, let's see, what is it? 35, 36 in their stack.
Okay.
So he calls.
Quickly before you go on, I just want to say that I think your size is probably, if you were to bet and you were trying to do so in a balanced way, that is the right size to use. I'm guessing because I don't know how to play GTO, but if I had to guess what GTO looks like, it's probably going to check a certain percentage of the time. And when it does bet, maybe it'll bet a size closer to yours than mine. And I think that's what you want to do against good players or, good players. And because we know this guy's recreational, that's the primary reason why I lean towards the big bet on the flop. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Right on. Okay. Well, we go to the turn with King and the flop of King of Diamonds, 3 of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds. We get a turn of the King of Spades. So we have quads now. And the pot is $25.80. We've got 36 left in our stack. What are your thoughts here? So he can't have the other king because we have all of them now. We've just got all the kings. And so we're pretty much just targeting a jack or like a straight draw, I guess. Ace 10, ace queen, queen 10.
Yeah.
9, 10?
Yeah, I think the way to handle this spot is choose a small size that gives him some chance to catch up with his draw. Because I think if he hits it on the river, he'll probably pay off the rest. And that size is also cool because it also gets value. I mean, we miss a little bit of value from a jack, I think, by betting small. But I think it's worth it with the sheer number of draws that are available here. So something like 10, I guess.
Okay.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I made it 750 into 2580. That's pretty small, actually. Yeah, I made it 750 into 2580, and he calls again.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if I would go, I would say I'm gonna bet the biggest size that I think he will call with a draw. Whatever that number is in your mind.
Okay. Okay. All right. I do, and he calls. So we go to
Okay.
the river now. There's $40.80 in the pot. We've each got about 30 behind. So we have enough there that I don't think it's shoving 30 into $41 isn't unheard of. Okay, so with quad kings, we go to the river, and the river is the 3 of hearts. So the final board is king, king, jack, 3-3.
Now, I didn't really, other than diamonds, I didn't really think much about ace X hands. But there's a lot of ace X of diamonds. I think we could probably jam here. I think he'll call with a jack and maybe even call with like ace X of diamonds, thinking that we're trying to get him off of a chop or something. Because anything worse than that is folding anyway. He either has a jack or a busted draw, and there's no way we can get value from the busted draws besides checking to him. And I don't really expect people who play as passively as this guy's played so far, I don't really expect them to bluff a ton. So I think I'm probably just going to jam here, expecting to get called by a jack always, and sometimes potentially getting called by ace X of diamonds.
Okay. I like that a lot. I yeah, I did the same bet again, hoping I don't know what the hell I was hoping for. To get called, of course, and hopefully to get raised. But I like your logic there of just rip it in. Because if he had ace 3 of diamonds, he's never folding. Like you said, a jack I don't think is ever folding. And you might even get called by ace high there.
I wouldn't even thinking about the 3, but that is a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
if he's got a 3, obviously he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like it. I did the 750 bet again. He quickly called, and I think this was just a curious call because I didn't get to see his hand, but he did show one card, and he showed the ace of diamonds. So that would feed right into your logic there that he was probably calling with ace high there if he didn't show the other card. And yeah, I think we could.
Yeah, because like I hate when people show. Well, it's not that I hate when people show cards. I do like free information, but I prefer, if they're gonna show, I prefer them to show 2 instead of 1. Because now I'm trying to figure out. I start projecting in these spots. Like, for example, if I'm this guy and I'm gonna show just the ace of diamonds, it's gonna be because I don't have another diamond in my hand. Yeah. And I want the guy to think I missed a busted nut flush draw. But they may not be thinking that way. Maybe he just actually had the nut flush draw. But like, I would really be curious if he called twice with like ace 10 with the ace of diamonds that didn't have ace 10 off with the ace of diamonds.
Yeah.
Like, that would make me think completely different about this guy than if he just had, the nut flush draw and break.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Yeah. I played a home game once where when you won a hand that you didn't have to show down. So like you bet the turn and the other guy folds, you had to show one card. And we got the idea from watching Poker After Dark or something where they were doing that. And after a couple of hours, you really get a good idea of how people are playing when they're forced to show that one card. You know, it made a really interesting dynamic for the game because, and especially you, when you have to show one card, you're like, shit, I don't want to show either one of these, but I got to show one, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a fun dynamic. If you get a chance to play a game like that, it's a lot of fun.
It sounds fun. It would drive me crazy though, because my number one goal when I'm playing is to gather information and use it against people.
Yes.
And when I'm gathering information that's like half complete and I'm not sure if the adjustments I'm making because of that information is correct, that just drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Do you have another one?
No, I mean I do, but let's see if this one's worth it. This
Throwaway
one's
hands?
kind of, yeah, it's kind of. I got a fun one. Okay, this one's quick. It's quick and it's pretty fun. Okay, so let me pull it up. The other one that I brought was a little bit too straightforward. Okay, so here's a fun one. So I'm playing on Bovada, and this is a rare freeze out. So this is a 215 buy-in, 40K freeze out. All Bovada tournaments used to be freeze outs, but now the majority of them are re-entry or rebuys or whatever you call it, re-entry.
Yeah.
So 300 bigs deep, second hand of the tournament, and again 215, 40K. So a guy raises for a min raise under the gun. And I have pocket kings and UTG 2.
Okay. 2, king. What are the blind levels?
2550. So we are 300 big blinds deep. So 15,000 chips.
Okay. And you said UTG limps?
He min raises.
Oh, min raises. So he makes it 100 or 2 big blinds.
And we're next to act with kings.
7 bigs, something like that.
I like it. 7 bigs. No, I'm thinking 7 times his bet.
Oh, 700.
Which,
Okay.
yeah, which I actually would like. I went 500 here, so
Okay.
10 bigs. In general, I just don't expect these people to be able to fold when they're this deep. And so, kind of like the last hand we discussed, if they're gonna call anyway, and I have a hand that can beat their calling range, I'm just gonna go big.
Yeah.
Like, what are they gonna do about it?
Yeah.
They're gonna look down at jacks and fold because I went.
You know,
too big?
you're right,
Probably
especially
not.
at the beginning stages of these,
Yeah,
tournaments.
300 big blinds deep. Yeah,
Yeah, they're just never folding. Even with
Yeah.
sixes there, they're calling.
yeah. So I made it 500,
Okay.
and the guy next to me, UTG 2, makes it 1,700. Okay, and then it goes around to the cutoff, and he makes it 3,700.
Interesting.
And it folds back around to you.
Okay, so UTG folds.
Yes.
So this is the question. Can we ever fold kings pre-flop here? That's what it boils down
This
to.
is the question.
Oh, shit. God, and this is one of those too where like you fold and then you get the hand history and you're like, that guy had 6-4 of hearts. Are you kidding? I folded fucking kings to 6 high. Really? That just happened.
Yeah.
Oh man, I probably just dump it. Just not tell anyone.
You can either dump it and not tell anyone, or dump it and then tell thousands of people
on
on a
podcast.
podcast. Yeah.
You folded kings pre-flop and the guy had 7 high.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
This
this is
scenario
one.
right here just it just smells like, I mean, there are times where one guy's got jacks and the other guy has queens, or ace king, although we block that. Yeah, I folded.
Yeah, the interesting twist to it is the fact that it's a freeze out. So it's
Oh yeah,
not like the guy could just be going crazy here and planning a rebuy if it doesn't work.
that's a good point. Yeah.
So this is my line of thinking. They're going to be a little bit tighter in these spots because it's a freeze out. On top of that, I'm so much better than anybody that would do this with 6-4 suited that I'm going to win the chips anyway.
Yeah.
I don't have to like get it all here when I have like no evidence. I'd rather him get it in with 6-4 suited against the other guy and then win. And now that I know he's a maniac, yeah, I'm just going to take his lunch later anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't need to take a high variance spot against an unknown who could have 6-4 suited, but probably just has aces,
Yeah.
you know? So that was my line of thinking here. And here's the other thing. If you do continue in this hand, are you jamming or are you calling?
I don't like calling being out of position to those two players. I mean, we call here and then UTG 3 shoves. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I think you got a Stuffy Baker or fold. I think those are your two options.
Yeah, I felt like I was either going to fold or call, but I kind of had the same thought that you did, that if I call, like, what am I really hoping for?
Yeah.
Like, if I call and the first guy jams and the second guy calls, now I think I definitely have an easy fold. Yeah. But I just wasted like 70 bigs to find that out.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, you know what? I'm just going to get out of here now and just pretend like this hand never happened.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like,
UTG raised, you 3-bet, a big 3-bet, and then there's a 4-bet and a 5-bet. Like,
yeah, cold 5-bet. A cold 5-bet is nothing to play with.
No,
so
it's just like they're just almost never bluffing there.
Yeah. So I decided to fold here, and the first guy jams.
Perfect.
And the 3-better calls. I mean, the cold 5-better calls. I don't think I've ever used that sentence in my life. But the 5-better had queens, and the guy who jammed had ace queen suited.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah.
Which is why I love playing on this site.
Amazing.
And even though technically I made a bad fold here, my mantra is always a bad fold is better than a bad call.
Yeah.
I'd rather fold here and lose tens to a hand that I was ahead of than to put in 300 big blinds here and lose to a hand that's ahead of me. Because now I still got a great chance of winning this tournament. By
you have
making
290 big blinds
versus 0.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, it's a question of his range. If his range is queens plus, I still like my fold.
Yeah.
Because I'm chopping with kings, and me versus aces and me versus queens are kind of like a wash. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm basically flipping versus that range anyway. And I didn't sign up to take 300 big blind flips.
Yeah.
On top of that, the other guy could have aces.
Yeah, let's say his range is ace queen suited plus. If he's doing that with ace queen suited, he's probably doing it with jacks. So you're against ace queen suited, jacks plus for him, and then queens plus for the other guy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's probably that's
If
probably
you
pretty accurate.
if you give both of these guys slightly wide but reasonable ranges, I'd rather not be up against two ranges like that for this many big blinds. But yeah, you start throwing 6-4 suited in there, then yeah, this is definitely a mistake. And that could be the case on this site. You never know. But
Yeah.
I'd rather err on the side of caution here. And I'm not upset after seeing their hands. I still think it was the right fold.
I remember talking about one like this with Mark Alioto. He was coaching me a couple of years ago on Bovada, and it was a tournament I went deep in, or one, I don't remember. But I remember one hand that specifically, I had ace king suited. I raised an early position. Someone 3-bet me. Then there was a cold 4 shove for, I think, like 50 bigs or something. And it folded around to me, and I folded. And Mark was like, good fold. And then we see the hands, and the guy had exactly 6-4 suited, the cold 4 shove. I'm like, me and Mark are all, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've definitely seen stuff like that also. Man, some of these people just hate money. They just hate money. It's like a hacker that got into somebody else's account, and now they're just like joyriding with the guy's bankroll.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like sometimes. Yeah. Mike and I had one like this where we were in a room in Vegas playing. Actually, I think it was at the Rio. We were at the Rio, and we were playing a online WSOP bracelet event. And a spot like this came up, and I folded kings pre, and that kind of blew his mind. I want to say he talked about it on the podcast back then. This was years ago, but if I don't remember what the who was at the table, it's probably just some random, so I probably didn't know those people. But I know back then I'm not as good of a poker player as I am now. But even at that point, back then I think I was just like, somebody probably has aces. I don't. You could rebuy in that one, but I didn't have money for another bullet. It was like a $600 buy-in or something. Yeah. So I folded there just because, it's that classic question about would you fold. Well, I guess the classic question is aces in the first hand of the main event. And this is different because we're talking about kings, and this wasn't the main event, but it kind of was the main event for me because at that time, a $600 bracelet event was a lot of money for me. Yeah. And so even though I probably had less of an edge on the field then, I still like that fold, but kind of for different reasons. This one right here is like, it was kind of an easy fold because of the edge I have on the field. And I think that's something that people need to take into account more often before they take these, I guess, standard spots.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Right on. That was cool. That was a neat one. I would have done the same though. It's neat to me, just the progression of the show and following you. A few years ago, for you to say that you bought into a 215 online would have been like, okay, this is the big one for this Sunday, Yeah. And now it's just par for the course. I think that's awesome. I remember when you and I were discussing $5 tournaments here, it's like
when I started with tournaments, I was playing $2 tournaments.
Yep.
And first place was like $30 or something. And like when I didn't win, I would punch a hole through my wall, like literally. And so, yeah, we've definitely come a long way, man. We've come a long way.
You don't even look at the runouts anymore. You're just like, whatever.
No, I don't look at the runouts. I really don't care that much when I lose because I'm practicing proper bankroll management and theme of the story, the theme of the podcast. My expenses are a lot lower now. Back when I owned a wall to punch through, I couldn't afford not to win. But now that I don't own any walls, who cares if I win or not?
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it's been a fun ride for me too. I mean, playing like the last WSOP we could play. I played in. I think I had almost 10K worth of buy-ins, something like that. Which would have been unheard of 5 years before that. But,
Yeah, because you started with cash, right? I remember you were like grinding small stakes cash, and then you kind of like took your cash roll to like, get your feet wet in tournaments, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And I did the same thing as you. I just started out with little $5 tournaments and just worked my way up from there. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I love this game. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too.
A lot of fun. Cool. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Carlos. You're still doing coaching, I'm sure, right?
Yes, coaching has taken over my life, so I'm now doing more coaching than playing. And so I'm busy pretty much every week with that.
Right on. And mediocre poker coaching?
Actually, the best way, that site, the registration on the domain name expired, and for some reason they won't give it back to me.
Huh.
And so that site takes you to nowhere. I'm pretty sure it takes you to nowhere. So I would just say my Twitter page at Hip Hop 101 Trivia. In the bio, there's a link to my coaching information.
Okay, cool. So you guys can hit him up there for that. If you want to play on Poker Bros with Mikey and I, hit me up and we'll get you set up on that. Minimum is 500 to get in, and you'll get 10% rake back for whatever you play. You can join us and have fun here. But thank you for coming on the show, Carlos.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yes, and thank you for tuning in. Here is your weekly motivational speech.
It's not easy out there. People are always saying you can't, that you shouldn't, that you're not smart enough, not good enough. This world, it beats you up again and again until eventually most people, they just stop trying. But you're not like that. You're a fighter. You always have been.
Everybody in your life will have a turn back moment. No matter who you are, you're going to have such a period in your life where it seems like it's not working. You're going to have doubts. You're going to have a lot of trials and tribulations and challenges. You always have a moment in your life where the direction you're going, you will have to make a decision to keep going or you turn back. The sad thing is, the average person turns back.
It's hard living. Life is hard.
Life is not easy at all. There's gonna be challenges. You're gonna get beat down.
And that tough situation is making you want to stop.
And you will fail sometimes. And that's okay. That's okay as long as you get back up.
Take that next step. Keep moving forward.
And no matter what, do not quit.
I don't care how low you are. I don't care what you have done. I don't care what you have experienced. I don't care how devastated your life might appear to be, the shambles it might be in. Wherever you are in life, ladies and gentlemen, you've got comeback power. There's a power in you that can enable you to be stronger and better than anything that's out here. Once you begin to know who you are, once you discover this power, the perfect essence of who you are, that's in all of us, that's permeating our being, that enable us to be the directors of our lives. It will set you free from believing, I can't see myself doing any better. That you truly can live a healthy, happy, prosperous life, and that you can make it in what are called the worst of times. Tough times never last, but tough people do. And you are tough. You're made of some special stuff. There was nobody here before you. You brought something here that was not here before you showed up. Guess what? Nobody's going to do your work for you. Nobody's going to write your book for you. That has been given to you to do. You want your stuff? It's necessary you take responsibility for it, that you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you don't take any objection or disappointment or defeats personally, that you keep on keeping on, that you don't decide that I can't make it because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that you realize that's a part of the program. And here's something you've got to resolve. Say this to yourself every day. Not over till I win. Not over till I get through. Not over till I get over. Not over till I get what I want. That's how you got to do that. You've got to have that kind of courage, that type of determination. If you want to make it happen, it's you.